Hello, hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome in to the Fantasy Roundup. I'm your host, Spencer the Guru Urquhart. Next to me is Gabe Henderson. How's it going, my bro?
It is going, Spencer. We're almost there. Final week of preseason. We are almost to football season. And week 0 of
So
college football
close.
this week. I'm over the moon.
Here we go. Yep, now we got our, there we go. Yep, there now you can see. We are who we say we are. Yes, football is coming up. Week 0. Yeah, week 0, man. That's one that's just, whew, man, week 0. Those games tend to suck, I'll be honest. But it's
come on.
football. It's football.
You're not excited for Hawaii Vanderbilt?
That's
That's
I
awesome.
remember. It was last year. It was Hawaii Vanderbilt.
No, it's this year too.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'll get high. I'll get fired up for it. I'll get
Well, trust
fired
me.
up.
I mean, there's nothing more than that I enjoy than terrible football. You know, I think
Man, I can't say the same. I hate terrible football.
Terrible college football, terrible NFL is its own beast. At least we've got fantasy for that. But there's just something special about terrible college football. I love it.
For sure. But yeah, my dad's right here, getting down to the wire. Time to get serious on the fantasy prep. Dang right, we're gonna get serious today. Gonna have a rankings debate. Gonna debate all 4 key positions: quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. Might have to pull up my full list for y'all toward the end to get y'all in on some sleeper picks. We're going to start off by discussing the top 12 of each. And then, then we'll have our listener league. We'll actually talk about that beforehand before we get into the rankings. Got a few housekeeping notes. The first one is that we are presented by Caesars Sportsbook, official odds partner of bet.NOLA.com. Shout out to Caesars. All hail Caesar. I was actually in Las Vegas this weekend. Got to check out the OG Caesars Casino. It took a little selfie there with the Caesar statue and all that. So yeah, it's a good time out there. I got to see the sports book. So shout out to them.
Love Las Vegas.
Heck yeah, man. And speaking of them, we got our listener league, 2023 Fantasy Roundup Listener League. For those of you that love fantasy football like Gabe and I, you must get in this thing, man. It's going to be lit. 12-team PPR league, competing against myself and Gabe. We call ourselves experts, but you have the opportunity to beat us. Highest finishing listener, whether you beat us or not, receives 2 free tickets to Week 18, Falcons at Saints at the Caesars Superdome. Thanks to Caesars, they are giving away 2 free tickets to the highest finishing listener. So if you want to get in on that, let me know. Send an email, surquhart@theadvocate.com. Simple. Just send me your name and the email address that you use for your ESPN account, because it will be an ESPN league. And so it's going to be really fun. Had it last year. Bucktown Rebel, the defending champ, is coming back. So he's going to be back in there. Gabe and I will be in there. It's going to be really fun. So y'all go do that now. Or if you want in now, just leave a comment and say, hey, I want in, and drop your name and email. And we'll go back after the show and then get you signed up.
Or leave a comment or message me on my Twitter handles right here below, or my X handle right below my name right here. I've got my advocate email in my bio there. So if you didn't get a chance to screenshot Spencer's right there, you can always access mine, and I can get that forwarded over to the guru.
Appreciate that, bro. Yeah, it's going to be really fun, y'all. So hope to have y'all in it. I always enjoy meeting new people through fantasy football. That's why I do it. It's a community. So keep the sense of community going. You already know where to find me at Spencer the Guru on all platforms. So let's get into these headlines, man. I know y'all ready for the show to get rolling. Let's get these headlines knocked out. Terry McLaurin last night, the Commanders broke the Ravens streak, but unfortunately they had one of their key players get hurt. Terry McLaurin, toe injury, turf toe, now very questionable for week 1. They're going to take it slow with him, so I would think he'll be ready, since it's not something where, he's got to worry about playing next week. He's got a few weeks to recover. Turf toes are tricky, though, so we'll see how that goes. Colts grant Jonathan Taylor permission to seek a trade. This was kind of surprising. I was thinking they'd play hardball with him, but JT is officially on the block. Got granted permission, so we'll see if that trade goes down. I'm going to do a Fantasy Roundup breaking news episode if that goes down, but we'll keep an eye on that. Jackson Smith and Jigba, JSN, suffers a wrist injury, broken wrist, now highly questionable for week 1. If I had to guess, he will not play, but he's still someone worth targeting late, be a guy you could stash for a few weeks. I don't think he'll be back by the end of September. Could heal up quicker, though. I mean, he's a young player. So he might heal quick and be ready for week 1. So questionable as of now. And I don't know why I put this one, but Baker Mayfield, I always bash him, but named the starting quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Woo! Go Baker.
I don't really think anyone expected Kyle Trask to start, did they? But
I thought maybe he could because Baker was really stinking it up. But Baker
can you hear that
held
sound,
him off.
Spencer? Can you hear that sound? That is the sound of Tyler Lockett's stock rising.
Yeah, JSN's injury, right? Him and DK Metcalf.
Yeah, well, people have been sleeping on Tyler Lockett. It's been a bit disrespectful, you know. It seems like a lot of the fantasy community is kind of just they've come to the unanimous decision that this is the year that Tyler Lockett's going to fall off just because JSN's there now. But now, especially with JSN out early, I'm backing Tyler Lockett in redraft leagues. I think he'll do some good things for this season. But this might be his last. I think, you know, Spencer and I have talked about it before. It might take JSN a little while to get acclimated into that offense and settle in. But I think Tyler Lockett's stock is rising early season. So maybe a candidate to sell high after a few weeks.
For sure. And so, yeah, we got he was in it last year, so we got some returning competition here. But, yeah, that listener league should be stacked. But, yeah, Lockett, man, I mean, he's pretty good. It's just, like, he's getting older, though. So I think he'll be a good first-half guy. The guy having the first half, and they maybe look to trade him away in the second half once JSN gets more acclimated. So, and I know you can just do receivers right now. Let's get into it. 2023 rankings. Wide receivers are now the king position in PPR leagues. Justin Jefferson, number 1 overall, usually goes number 1 overall in PPR redrafts, and rightfully so. Dude is a walking receptions, yards, touchdown, all the things we want for fantasy, he does. And the only thing he was a little down on last year was touchdowns, but I think this year he could get into the double digits. I mean, he's just that good. We know what he's capable of, and he's always healthy. So he's a guy that can be trusted to not only give you solid production, but the kind of production that you need to win leagues. Same goes for Jamar Chase, both top 5 picks, former LSU boys. Can't argue with them at the top of the list. And this is where things get interesting for me. I put Tyreek Hill at 3, but I feel like it's kind of close between guys like him, CeeDee Lamb, Stephon Diggs, and even Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think ARSB, I guess, or just ASB is a guy that could easily end up in the top 5, maybe even first overall. And as good as Justin Jefferson is, like Amon-Ra in PPR leagues, I think could put up close to those kind of numbers. He hadn't done so yet, but I think he's capable of it because the Lions don't have much else there. Like, remember his rookie year down the stretch when they had a bunch of injuries, he stepped up. And last year, even when they were healthy, he was still putting up elite production. So I'm thinking Amon-Ra he's probably my favorite second-round target out of anybody here. And then Cooper Kupp, didn't totally move him down, but, you know, he's bad on injuries already. I've gone over time and time again. I'm not feeling Cooper Kupp in redraft. Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, though, I really like them this year, even though they're only in their second season. They both got so much talent and good quarterbacks throwing the rock to them. Devontae Adams at 11. His stock's going down with the Raiders, but still, it's Devontae Adams. Got to include him here. And then Devontae Smith has recently snuck into my top 12. I had Jalen Waddle. I know Gabe likes Jalen Waddle, but Devontae Smith, I feel like, is trending up and could end up having an even better year than A.J. Brown, as good as A.J. Brown is. So,
yeah, I think the only 2 changes I would make on that list, I would probably flip Amon-Ra and Stephon Diggs. You know, I've talked about it. I'm not as high on the Bills' offense just because of all the offseason drama there, and I don't feel like they improved that much. And then I would, you know, as much as it pains me to say it, just because of the quarterback situation, I would probably flip the last 2 on that list, Devontae Adams and Devontae Smith with Devontae Adams. Yeah,
I got you. So you're higher on Devontae Smith then.
Probably just because of the quarterback situation. I mean, he's a guy who had a sneaky 1,000 yards last year. Really, really good
Right.
last year. He is similar to Waddle, but I just I don't know. There's something about those teams with the quarterback issues that I'm even with the top receivers, I'm just not touching. I'm not touching Devontae Adams in any of my leagues this year, and I'm not touching Stephon Diggs either.
Ooh, not touching Stephon Diggs. Wow, I have some
I'm
thoughts
staying
on
away.
that.
I like the upside with the other receivers, like Amon Ra around him more. So if I get a chance to pick them, those are the guys I'm going after. Or in a lot of leagues, Stephon Diggs is still there when you get guys like Olave or Garrett Wilson who are still available. I'll target them because of the upside.
Wow. We'll have to touch on that. Hold that thought. I just wanted to address Jerry's comment here. Saints waive Brian Edwards. No surprise there. I called it yesterday on Bayou Bets. I said James Washington got waived last week. Watch Brian Edwards be up next. I knew when they signed those guys they weren't going to make it because, I mean, they had their chances. James Washington had his chance with the Steelers and Cowboys. Edwards had his chance with the Raiders and Falcons. And so no disrespect to those guys. I know they're doing their best to try to make NFL rosters, but it's just they're just not quite up there as far as like cracking that 53. Because to crack the 53, I mean you gotta be putting up numbers a lot of weeks. Like, I mean, guys, even a guy like Traquan Smith, I mean, he's not the best, but he's enough to usually crack the 53. And so we'll have more on that Thursday. Bayou Bets. But we'll have a question here from Drew. Thanks for tuning in, Drew. Should I roster Penny or Hyatt full PPR? As of now, if it's redraft, I'd roster Penny because he's got a chance to be the starting running back there in Philadelphia. Hyatt, we don't know what his role is going to be exactly. They've got Darren Waller there now, Paris Campbell, along with the returning guys like Isaiah Hodgins and Darius Slayton. So I would do Penny for now, hold on to Penny, and maybe Hyatt later on. But yeah, for now you want to have some rookies, but you don't want to go overboard with that. If a guy like Penny is available in your league, I'd pick him up.
I would too, just because of the upside there. I don't think anyone in the world, I don't even think Nick Sirianni knows how the Eagles' backfield is going to shake out. So, I mean, if all four of those guys stay on roster, it's going to be an interesting just carry division and see how the carries get divided up. But yeah, I think I agree. I would take Penny over a rookie like Hyatt. Although I do like Hyatt, I think Hodgins is the guy to target in New York, other than Waller, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Hodgins goes so late in these hands. I got him in like the 20-something round of a best ball league. I was like, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that all day. But yeah, back to our rankings here. Pull them back up for those of y'all just tuning in. You're watching the Fantasy Roundup presented by Caesars Sportsbook. We've got Jefferson, Chase, Tyreek Hill, CD, Diggs, Amon-Ra, Kupp, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Devontae Adams, Devontae Smith. And the thing Gabe disagreed with my rankings here the most was Stephon Diggs at 5. So I'm going to go ahead and make my case here and see what he thinks. Diggs, I feel like this about Diggs. I'm kind of down on Buffalo this year as a whole, but not because of their offense, because of their defense. Leslie Frazier, their longtime defensive coordinator, retired. So I think their defense takes a step back. And if anything, I think that could help Stephon Diggs because the Bills are going to have to be throwing a lot. That's why I still like Josh Allen a lot this year, even though I don't think they're going to win as many games as Caesars has them. I think their win total's 11 or so. I think the under is a good play there because the AFC East is so tough, and I just think their defense is taking a step back. Allen, though, he's going to sling the rock. We know he's going to sling the rock, and he's healthy now. I mean, his numbers took a little bit of a dive last year after the elbow injury, but he's 100% again. And when he's 100%, only Mahomes, I feel like, got a better arm than him. Like, Allen's arm is a rocket. And Stephon Diggs, even if they're beefing a little bit off the field, on the field, it's a special connection. And I think it's going to continue into this season. Diggs, about 30 years old, but I still think he's got 2 or 3 strong years left in the tank. And so I don't see him missing a beat. I think Diggs is a very safe pick. I think he's one of the, like, as flashy as A.J. Brown is, I think there's some decline coming there. And as tempting as Amon-Ra is. Like, I mean, the Lions, it's still an up-and-coming offense. The Bills, we know what the Bills are. The Bills are elite on offense with Josh Allen. So, to me, as long as Josh Allen's on the field, I'm cool with Diggs as a top 5 receiver.
Yeah, for sure. The reason I said that I do take guys, and I take a chance, I'm not saying rank these guys above Diggs. The reason I take a chance on guys like Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave is because I think with their improved quarterback situations, we're only going to see them get better. Whereas guys, as you mentioned, like AJ Brown, Stephon Diggs will probably regress a little bit. And I think my biggest concern with Stephon Diggs, other than all the off the field stuff, which I've got a weird feeling about. I can't put my finger on it. I've just got a weird feeling about, and I feel like there will be a bigger regression than people think. It's toward the back half of last year, and I know Josh Allen had the elbow injury, but he became a boomer bust receiver. He wasn't getting as many receptions, it felt like. And so I just worry there. I'm cautiously optimistic about it in that way. So if I am taking Diggs, I am taking him, as I said, with proceeding with caution.
Yeah, I hear you. Another thing is, like, I mean, he's the clear top target. Like, if he goes down, then who's going to absorb those targets? Like, you just think the offense as a whole takes a dive.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, what do you think do you think someone else is going to step up for those targets? Are you just down on the Bills offense?
And don't get me mistaken. I'm not saying that. I'm not questioning Josh Allen or Stephon Diggs' talent. I don't want it to come out like that. In that case, I think we would see more of the 2 tight ends.
Kincaid, yeah.
Yeah, I think we'd see them take over more of the targets. I mean, you know my feelings on Gabe Davis. So they could maybe go out and sign a veteran that's available, but I don't think anyone who comes off the streets will be eating a bunch of targets. So I really think it'd be tight ends splitting those targets mostly.
Okay, so Kincaid. Yeah, Kincaid, I've warmed up to Kincaid more in redraft. I'm getting to where it's like, if he's my tight end 1, well, I mean, I'm okay with that. Like, it's just take a veteran like Everett or Higbee or something late as a second tight end in case it takes him a few weeks to get rolling. But yeah, we'll have our tight end segment here. Kincaid didn't quite crack my top 12, but he's very close. Like, if I bet by next week he'll be there, because he's definitely trending up. But let's go over running backs. That question here about the big name RBs disgruntled, where they stand now. We'll get to that. We've got our top 12 here. Christian McCaffrey, top of the charts there, number 1, followed by Austin Eckler, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor. Those are 2 of those ones there. Travis Etienne and Ramondre Stevenson still in my top 12, despite the Ezekiel Elliott signing. So those are for those just tuning in, watching the Fantasy Roundup, got running backs being debated right now, the top 12 there. And interesting nugget I read that they gave, Peter King was talking about how would not draft Bijan Robinson in fantasy because of workload concerns. And I laughed at that. I was like, that is silly. I know Peter King's a well-respected NFL writer. He gives a lot of good insight. But in that case, I'm like, Peter King, stay in your lane, bro. You're not a fantasy analyst. Stay in your lane. Bijan is going to eat. He's a superior talent. He's going to get his on the ground, through the air. I'm not buying the Tyler Algier stuff. I do admit Tyler Algier is a great handcuff if you have Bijan, but Bijan's going to be the lead guy. I mean, come on, man. I remember when Saquon was a rookie, some people were like, oh, I don't know if I'd take him first round, and look what he did.
Yeah, and, funny you bring Saquon up, because that might be the only change I'd make to that list, is maybe flip Saquon and Bijan, just solely because of the Tyler Algier fact. You really don't have a second running back in New York. In New York, who would take away any carries from Saquon. Saquon's the guy. I'm really high on that offense going into the year. Whereas, Tyler Algier still has a role to play. I think it's not as high as Peter King thinks it is, but I think he still has a role to play. Bijan, I mean, we've seen a lot of people questioning. I think I saw something where Atlanta has Bijan listed as the running back 3 in camp and stuff like that. And people are just eating that up. They're like, oh, see, he's not going to be as good as advertised, and people shouldn't be drafting him this high. Yes, you should. he's going to be very good. He's an excellent player, especially for fantasy, who's going to be able to do it all.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I'm all in with Bijan Robinson. Took him in the first round of a couple leagues over the weekend. So yeah, he's special. I mean, just the talent's gonna win out as long as he's healthy. So not worried about that. Let's go over the rest of the list though, if I can pull it back up here. Those names at the bottom there, yeah, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor. I moved them down. I had them higher, early in the offseason, but now with the question marks around him, I had to move him down. Jacobs, it's like the offense. I'm assuming he'll play, but the offense, the more I think about it, that offense sucks. Plus, he's due for regression after that huge year he had last year. So kind of down on him compared to some. And then Jonathan Taylor, it's just we don't know where he's going to play. I mean, if his trade request goes through, he might end up in a committee somewhere, which the funny thing is, like the team that keeps popping up in the rumors, the Eagles. Boy, would that end up in an ugly committee. JT, Swift, and Penny, and Gainwell. That'd be too many mouths to feed. So hopefully.
And Boston Scott.
I think Boston Scott would be on either the practice squad or with a different team at that point. Because
or DeAndre Swift would be cut.
That would be hilarious. That would be so funny. DeAndre Swift cut, because I've heard so many people be like, oh, Swift's on the Eagles. He's going to bounce back. I'm like, I've been there, done that with Swift. I want no part of Swift. I don't have any dynasty shares. I am out, O-U-T, out on DeAndre Swift. That dude has had chance after chance after chance, and he's blown it every time, whether it's injuries, drops, lack of efficiency. He's just not it, man. And then just the Eagles, it's going to be a committee out there. That's why I was telling Drew earlier to go with Penny, because I think Penny might outperform Swift this year. If both are healthy, which they'll both probably end up hurt at some point, but if both are healthy, Penny might outperform him because Penny's the bigger back who's going to get the goal line work.
I think, if we're talking to Eagles backfield, I think the person to take there might be Gainwell, just because of the upside.
Yeah.
And, as you mentioned.
And you get him so late.
Yeah, you get him so late, and Swift and Penny can't stay healthy. And if they both go down, then, I think it's no question Gainwell's your running back one.
Right. And as for JT, though, I think if he stays with the Colts, he'll be about that 10 spot. I got him staying there. And the offense, very much a work in progress with Anthony Richardson, but I think he'll still have his moments. He'll still be top 10. If he goes to, I think the Eagles would actually be a decent landing spot, because if he goes there, he'll get most of the work. So I think with them, he'd be more like top 6 to 8. He goes in because they're an elite offense. But if he would go to another bad offense that doesn't really emphasize the run, because the Colts, even though they're bad, they're going to emphasize the run. If he ends up on, let's say, like Tampa Bay, which, I don't see why Tampa Bay would waste draft picks trading for him, but that's just in the doomsday scenario that does happen. Then at that point, it's, JT, you're out of the top 12. So
let me ask you this, Spencer, about one specific landing spot. If he goes to Miami, where would you rank him?
Okay, yeah, Miami would be interesting. I don't think he'd be a great fit in that system, though. So I'd probably move him maybe down a little bit. I know the offense is good on paper, but Mike McDaniel, he's a Shanahan disciple. And Kyle Shanahan's backfields tend to be committees. I don't know. They've got Christian McCaffrey. That's his backfield. So I think if JT goes there, it would be pretty much his backfield. So actually, I'd probably keep him about where he is, because even if he doesn't get quite as many attempts because they're so pass happy, I think he'd get enough goal line work to still be a top 10 option at the position.
Yeah, I think the one change toward the back half that I would probably make on that list, I'd probably flip Etienne and Stevenson, because, I know Ramondre Stevenson's back there now because of the Zeke signing. I'm one of the few who thinks that Tank Bigsby's got a big role to play. I'm not going to say that they're going to split carries or anything. Etienne's still the dude after last season. But I think Tank Bigsby has carved himself a nice little role.
Yeah, no doubt. The reason, though, that I switched him is because Zeke, man. I don't like Zeke by any means. I'm not telling you how to draft Zeke, but he's eating into Ramondre's workload, they're saying. So I had to move Ramondre down a little bit. I don't think he'll eat into it enough to make Ramondre fall out of the top 12, but it could, because the name I left off of here that a lot of people are pushing into their top 12 now is Jahmyr Gibbs. Talked about him last week on the Risers episode, and he keeps rising. Drafts I did this weekend with some sharp minds out there in Vegas, they were taking Gibbs up like early 3rd round. So I was like, yeah, this Gibbs hype is no joke, because the kid's looking like a better version of Swift. I mean, he'll probably be able to do what we wanted Swift to do. And so if Swift would have been able to do what we wanted him, he'd have been top 12. And I know Gibbs is just a rookie, but if you want Jahmyr Gibbs, got to pay up. And I'm to the point now, I'm like, well, if this Ramondre stock keeps falling and Etienne, if his stock keeps falling, I might do it. I might have to give in on that. As much as I had to give in on Tony Pollard, I still don't like Tony Pollard. Consensus loves him. They got him top 5. I got him 8th, which not super comfortable with it, but I feel like I got to admit that now that Zeke's officially on a different team, it's like, well, they believe in Pollard. They officially showed they believe in him. So had to give him his due. But yeah, we'll see how all this shakes out. Ramondre, kind of nervous, kind of makes me nervous, but to me, I still had to include him in there because of the how well he did last year.
Yeah, as we talked about last week, I don't see him getting any more than 3-4 touchdowns. Like he's going to have a similar role to Damian Harris last year, and Damian Harris was insignificant.
Yeah, right. So yeah, before we move on to QBs, our top 12 running backs: CMC, Eckler, Bijan, Saquon, Chubb, Henry, Najee, Pollard, Jacobs, JT, Etienne, Ramondre. Or my top 12. Gabe is debating with me as far as what he thinks should be up or down, because we need multiple perspectives. Don't want to just have me. I go by the guru. I admit I don't know it all, so we got multiple perspectives here as well as the listeners' perspectives. Let us know what y'all think about the ranks. I see Hank just pulled up. Says, "Sup, fellas? What's up, Hank? Glad you could make it, man. And let us know about the listener league. Any listeners? I see y'all out there listening. If y'all want to join the league, pull up the graphic here real quick. Let us know. Email me. Have my email address there in the gold. So let me know if you want in that league. It's gonna be really fun with myself and Gabe. And Hank, I believe, had a question for us. We'll get to that before we get to quarterbacks. I drafted Kupp with pick 6 in a 12-man league. Did I screw up? Well,
I know
if
Spencer
he's
feels
healthy,
about this.
If he's healthy, then no. But the thing is, he's already not healthy, and he's at an age to where he's probably more injury prone, and Matt Stafford's up there. So I don't want to say he screwed up, because this is how you play this, man. Once Kupp gets healthy, he'll probably be ready by week 2 or 3. And so then by then, he'll probably go off early in the season. Then at that point, you trade him because people think he's the Kupp of old. Trade him away at that point. And then if he gets hurt again, then you'll be off of him at that point. So stick with him for now. Don't trade him now while his stock's down. Keep him. And then if things, if things are going well, trade him, because then his stock's going back up. And Dakota likes him, but
yeah, there's a lot of people that seem to love him. So I'm not going to sit here and say he screwed up. He's still going to be a top 10 receiver, no matter what, I think, unless he gets hurt again. No matter how bad that offense is. But at the same time, you can trade him, as Spencer said. People love Cooper Kupp, and if they think they're getting a value there, it's worth exploring a trade, even if it is early season. It just depends on your league mates. I played with someone who used Cooper Kupp as a keeper this year. People just seem to love him because of the explosiveness and him bursting onto the scene over the last few seasons.
Yeah, for sure. And Hank said, love to play in the listeners league. That's awesome, man. If you just shoot me your info, you can just comment it here. Well, I know your name, Hank Trill. So all you need to do is comment your email address, and I'll make sure to send you an invite over on. It's on ESPN. So, and he gets it. Yeah, man. Yeah, Triple Crown winner. But yeah, I don't think he's quite as explosive anymore. I don't see that happening for him. Hey, Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, they might get it. But if Kupp starts off hot, you might be able to get the Jefferson or Chase owner to make a trade with you.
Yeah, perhaps.
And okay, cool. Sounds good, man. So yeah, let's move on now. We're getting toward the end of the show. Let's move on to QBs at the top of the chart. No surprises. Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen. But this is where I differentiate from the consensus. Most consensus rankings have Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow 3 and 4. I've got Lamar Jackson up at 3. I feel like the new offense is going to really ignite Lamar and his statistical upside, especially as a passer. I'm buying it. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I know a lot of people like Jim say, Lamar, he's not a passer. That's but I think I think it's real. I think with the new weapons, he's going to be a lot better for fantasy because of that. He'll still run enough too to, even if he isn't as strong as of a passer as like the top two, he'll get a lot of rushing. So high on him because of those reasons. Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow round out the top 5. Justin Herbert, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence come in at 6, 7, and 8. And then to me, there's a tier break after these top 8. Deshaun Watson and Dak Prescott round out the top 10, and then Kirk Cousins and Daniel Jones round out the top 12. So I guess to start off, Gabe, what are your thoughts on Lamar? Do you think, I know you like him too, but do you think 3 is a little high?
I don't think so. I completely agree with you there. I mean, I think we've seen the best that Jalen Hurts can be. So I think 4 is about where he should be. Yeah, this is the best receiving core Lamar's had in his career. And in a whole new offense that's now more passer friendly, we're going to see an explosive season from Lamar, given that he stays healthy.
Heck yeah. I'm thinking he's got all the tools needed for success, and so I'm gonna bet on him. You know, he bet on himself, got the contract. I'm gonna bet on him now to be a fantasy stud. And so after the top 5, though, it's like, is there anyone like Herbert, Fields, Lawrence, maybe even some of the ones after that you think will be able to get into that top 5?
I think we could see a big year from Herbert. But I think, as you mentioned, there's a drop off after 8. I think there's the top 5, and then there's a drop off between Herbert, Fields, Lawrence, and then there's another drop off. It's kind of 3 tiers here in this top 12. But I think if any one of those next 3, the 6, 7, 8, are going to break into the top 5, I think it could be Herbert.
For sure, yeah. Hank's with you. He's on Herbert. Yeah, I am too. I thought about maybe even putting Herbert over Burrow because the Chargers, as they throw so much, like, and the Bengals have a better overall team that, like, I'm thinking, yeah, Herbert could definitely get in there. And otherwise, I mean, Deshaun Watson, if he's running around, that could be sneaky. And then Kirk Cousins with the passing upside. I mean, Kirk Cousins is someone that he's not going to run, so it's going to be tough for him to get in there. But, I mean, he could end up a 5,000-yard passer potentially. And if you're throwing for that many yards, you'll be close. But I'm just not quite as high on him as some are saying he's going to go for that. And Kellen Moore now with Herbert. I think that's going to really help Herbert. So, yeah, he's right on the cusp. And I got him. I took him a little earlier than some people like to. I took him in the 4th round of a single QB recently, but all the 5 ahead of him were already gone. So I was like, well, damn, let me get Herbert before all the good QBs get snatched up.
Yeah, my league recently went to 6-point passing touchdowns. So I missed out on Herbert by 1 pick, but I snatched up Trevor Lawrence there. The one thing I'd say I really disagree with on your list, and this is maybe just me as a Houston fan, I'm not rating Deshaun Watson that highly this year. After what we saw last year, it's just too much rust. I think Nick Chubb is going to have too big a role to play in that offense, and I'm not rating Deshaun Watson ahead of guys like Daniel Jones personally.
I hear you. Yeah, I just think this year they're going to let Deshaun cook a little more as a passer because last year he was just getting acclimated to the system. But I would think if Stefanski's smart, he'll let Watson do more because Watson's got a big arm. I mean, they're paying him all this money. I mean, if you do all that just to have him hand the ball off, like, I wouldn't think so. I'm going to bet that they let him cook more because.
Well, I mean, they lost games last year because of his arm. I mean, didn't they play a game against the Saints in like 6-degree weather or something?
Yeah, I mean, you can't count that.
Watson threw like 40 times in that game.
No way. There's no way.
You keep going with your second.
Well, that was Stefanski's fault. That was Stefanski's fault. He called a bad game. That's what I'm saying. A lot of it I blame on Stefanski with that. Watson, I mean, as a Texans fan, Gabe, I mean, Watson's talented. He might be kind of scummy off the field, but on the field, he's a stud.
Threw 31 times that game.
Yeah, that's too many.
That's way too many. In 6
but that's the play calling. And
I agree. And that's the play calling is part of the reason I'm not very high on Deshaun Watson.
I hear you. Yeah,
see, I don't think receiving core is all that great either. But
yeah, that's true. I tell you what, if the Browns finished last year, I think they fire Kevin Stefanski.
I think they should have fired him last year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Browns under. I think it's 8.5 might be a good bet.
My buddy's a big Browns fan, and he is one of those delusional fans. He and I have $100 on Browns winning 10 games or not. I'm on the not.
Yeah. You
Not
got
touching.
that. You got that money in the bank. Cash that check. So,
Depends on the play of Deshaun Watson. I mean, I could be crazy. Deshaun Watson could have a lot better season than I predict. But
for sure. So let's before we move on to tight ends, we'll go over this again real quick for those just joining. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Hurts, Burrow, Herbert, Fields, Lawrence, Watson, Prescott, Cousins, Danny Dimes, rounding out the top 12 QBs. So let's move on.
Danny Dimes stock.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's good stock to have because he's got the rushing floor.
Yep, absolutely.
So let's move on to tight ends before we close out the show. Travis Kelce, of course, the number one option there. Mark Andrews follows along with TJ Hawkinson, George Kittle, Darren Waller, the top 5. And I mean, there's kind of a drop off after that because then you get to Kyle Pitts, who almost put Goddard ahead of him. It's just Goddard, the upside is kind of limited. Pitts has upside, but also a lot of downside. So I wouldn't blame someone for taking Goddard ahead of him. Pat Freiermuth comes in at 8, David Njoku 9, Evan Ingram 10, Chigo Okonkwo 11, Cole Kmet 12. And like I mentioned earlier, Dalton Kincaid stock on the rise. Dalton Schultz also almost made the list. So it's really close because I mean after about the top 7 or 8, the rest of it you're just throwing darts at a board with the tight end position. And I say at a far away board, because it's hard. It's hard to find a tight end after about the top 7 or so. And even Kyle Pitts is even not very reliable. I'd say probably even after the top 4. I mean, even Waller's got some question marks and kind of injury prone. So like a Kittle, I know he's had his share of concerns too in this position. It's just one of these, really, if you don't get one of the top 3,
that's
not pretty.
That's why my philosophy going into this year, coupled with the fact that there's really a drop off in receivers once you get into the second and third tiers. That coupled with the lack of assurances at tight end, that's the reason I'm waiting on a tight end in most leagues. In my main league, I've got your 11 and 12 and Kmet and Okonkwo on my team. I'm just it's like throwing darts, Spencer, as you said. And I think that's really what you see around the 6-7 with Kyle Pitts and Dallas Goedert. Where you rank those two on your list depends on what you value. I'm someone who loves consistency at the tight end position. I'm not going to be comfortable with the guy on my team who will get you 20 points one week and 5 the next. I'd rather have a 10-10, a 12-12 guy. So for me, I think Goddard's a little bit ahead of Pitts, especially now with Bijan in the Falcons offense. Don't exactly know how much of the ball Pitts is going to see. But there's, as we've said, there's more upside with Pitts.
Yeah, because if Pitts hits his ceiling, I mean, he's top 5, but I don't know if he's going to quite get there. Waller has some upside. He's just health concerns. Same with Kittle. So if you believe in them staying healthy, I know a lot of people believe in Waller, so I could see taking them up a little higher. Then I'd be comfortable taking them. Andrews and Hawkinson, again, it's like, I mean, they're good, but a lot of times you're passing up on receivers who are probably going to put up better numbers. So I'd probably pass on them. Kelce, though, it's like his numbers are right up there with the best receivers. So I wouldn't pass on him. If you can get him at pick 5 or 6, just go ahead and do it. Lock in that positional advantage.
Yep, exactly. There's one tight end in this game who is a mix of both consistency and explosiveness, and it's Travis Kelce. The others, it's a crapshoot.
Right. Any sleepers that you'd recommend, like outside of the top 12? I know you're Schultz. I mean, he's on your Texans, but it's just like, can you trust that? I don't know. I don't know who's going to get the ball over there.
I don't know who's going to get the ball either. I'm starting to want to run back a take I had a few weeks ago with the whole Nico Collins thing, because Nico Collins looks good, and then Robert Woods has had a role to play in preseason. So I don't know. We'll see. There's too many question marks around the Texans. So yeah, I'm staying away from Dalton Schultz. I think if we see Zach Ertz return in full capacity, I'm not going to say he's top 12, but he's a guy that's going undrafted in a lot of leagues that you take just as a flyer in the last round, just because, he was top 20 tight end last year and he got hurt halfway through the year. So you get that consistency.
Yeah, you mentioned that last week. Yeah.
But there's a lot of question marks there. So I guess in terms of sleepers, even though it's not a sexy name, Zach Ertz is probably someone that I'm at least looking at in the last round of my drafts.
For sure.
Or, Laporta in Detroit.
There you go. I was about to say him. There you go. There you go. Yeah, Sam Laporta, another rookie to watch. He's the one, if you don't get Kincaid, take Laporta because he's in line for a big role over there.
Yep.
So, all right, y'all, that's going to do it for this one. Make sure if you haven't already, check us out, Listener League. Get in on that. Email me, srcard@theadvocate.com if you're looking to compete against some of the sharpest minds in the game. We've got some heavy hitters in that thing already. So we're going to have another fun year to Bayou Bets Listener League. Get those Saints-Falcons tickets if you're the highest finishing listener. So, yeah, Gabe, it's getting close, man.
I'm excited, Spencer. It's almost football season. Can hardly contain myself.
Heck yeah, man. So we'll be back next week. Probably gonna do the Mike Eyes episode as far as like who would you draft, like who are your league winners. We'll call it league winners. That's Matthew Berry's thing, my guys. We're gonna do it different. League winners we're going with next week. So till then, has been Spencer the Guru Urquhart and Gabe Henderson. Been listening to the Fantasy Roundup. We'll be back. Peace out.